Welcome to The Secret Sauce. I'm glad you're here. I'm your host, Kip Schubert. And you know, as educators, we need to own our stories. We need to share how we've climbed mountains that seemed impossible. And in the process, discovered that secret sauce that we all have. Because it's with that secret sauce, we reach back over those mountains and become the Sherpa that our schools and our staff and our students need. You know, be sure and follow the podcast. I don't want you to miss an episode. And please reach out to me. I would love to come to your school and share my secret sauce with your staff and students. You know, our stories, our experiences, they matter. They are what connect us and empowers the development of authentic relationships that our schools, our communities, our world desperately needs right now. So let's get real, let's get raw, and let's get vulnerable and dive into our next episode. Welcome to episode number 19 of the Secret Sauce with Kip podcast. I'm Kip, and I'm just blessed and honored that you're here to listen into this episode. It's time we change our perspective. You know, education on all levels has changed since 2020 and the outbreak of COVID. You know, for students, for staff, administrators, it's just different. And it doesn't mean that it's bad, but it does mean that we have to evolve with it. And that means for many of us that we have to change our perspective. You know, it's been extremely difficult transition, but does it have to stay difficult? We may need to admit to ourselves that the way we have always done it around here just isn't as effective as it used to be. There is one thing I have learned that has helped me change my perspective, to shift my mindset, not just about education, but about my life. It is simple, yet hard to do. And it is simply just seeing the good in my day, in my week, all around me, instead of the opposite, the bad. And did you know that the average person has 60,000 thoughts a day, and 80% of them are negative? There's no wonder why it is so difficult for many of us to stay in a positive state of mind. But we can do it. We must do it if we want to make a difference in the lives of our students and our staffs. You know, I recently did a really powerful activity with my classes. It was a simple prompt and discussion. I set it up by talking about how our life is determined by our mindset, our choices, and our tribe. And then I asked them to complete this one simple phrase. If you really knew me, then you would know. I asked them to become vulnerable, to step outside their comfort zone, and to be real and authentic. I also encouraged them to share, as we had created a safe place with our norms. And as they began to share, you could feel the energy of connection overtaking the room each hour. During my second period, this one young man raised his hand, and it surprised me. He is extremely quiet. He avoids work, just flat out doesn't do a whole lot. And he said, if you really knew me, then you would know that I think everyone hates me. My heart opened for him, and my perspective immediately changed because I had a glimpse into who this kid really was. I instantly led the class in affirming to him that no one hated him. I made my way to his desk, and I said, look around, Tristan. Everyone likes you. Let's change the perception of how you see yourself because we love you, brother. And what stuck with me through that was how it changed my perspective. Here was this kid who I thought was just refusing to work and underachieving because he would rather play video games than anything else. And I was so wrong, a fool. And I needed to really see him and to value him, to know who he is and love him so I can do whatever I can to empower him to be better. Isn't that what education in our schools really need? Our eyes wide open and a complete change of perspective so that we really reach not just our students, but those who teach right next door, who office down the hall. We all need to see, hear, and love one another, whether in the classroom, on the athletic fields, in the schools, in our districts. We need to change the way we are looking at things. And I know for me, Tristan really brought that home for me. As our society changes, the people we serve change. The dynamic and fabric of who we are changes. You would think that education itself would need to evolve as well. You know, change is difficult for institutions. It is comfortable to rely on the way it's always been done. There is comfort in that. Yet we change strategies all the time. Each year there is a new reinvention of the wheel and the trendiest fab of pedagogy. Is that really making change? Is it really implemented? Is it really effective teaching and learning? Do we come at it from the lens of what will increase test scores the most? What tool is going to give us data that will look better to the school boards, to the communities, and the media? Are we approaching it from a selfish standpoint, as in what looks best for us as the educator? Or are we looking at it from the lens of what is best for those we serve? What is the most effective process? Again, the process for empowering students with the skills they need to pursue their dreams. The process, their educational journey, should equip them with the understanding of their dream and the weapons necessary to achieve the impossible. Should we set high standards? Have college-ready students? For sure. But what if their dream doesn't include college? Do we ever even ask what their dreams are? Most kids dream to be something that holds status and makes a lot of money because that is what they have learned is success. But it's not their passion. 80% of people are not passionate about their occupation. 55% of people hate their job. Does that sound like a country of adults who are living out their passion, living on purpose? It sounds like we have created minds and ambitions to fit into what is considered success. And since most are square pegs trying to be crammed into round holes, it has led to an apathetic, uninspired workforce who lack passion and purpose. What if we switched our perspective to enabling young people to find those things, then tailored curriculum to fit the variety of tracks that one might need to take to reach those dreams? The dreams haven't died. They've just been covered up by the vision of success of others that just isn't as relevant today as it used to be. So what if we started to hone in on the process of helping others uncover the purpose, unlocking their limited potential towards their dreams, realizing those special gifts we all possess while still creating tracks of education to get them there? As educators, I believe we need to help kids learn to navigate this world socially and emotionally, becoming the Sherpas that lead them to the many doors available to them while giving them the knowledge to choose for themselves which doors to open in pursuit of who they truly are and want to become. And so what if that takes the focus off scores, data, and college readiness? But what if in doing so, it renders us capable of cultivating young minds on fire for a purpose and the best version of who they were created to be? What if our focus was on dreaming big, embracing creativity, thinking positive, turning adversity into advantage, and responding and adapting to life instead of being heavy on content and curriculum? It's just my opinion, but I think if we really opened our minds and eyes to the possibilities within the process, the data or scores we seek to measure our effectiveness would go through the roof. When we are serving others to our best ability, that is where we find our measure. Because in all reality, what we do as educators isn't about us anyways. And then the ones who we overlook the most, ourselves. What about the change of perspective when it comes to admin, to teachers, to paras, to custodians, to food service, to security, all the staffality? The way educators all across the U.S. are perceived has taken on an extremely negative connotation in many aspects. If we want to be looked at in a different way, maybe we need to approach what we do in a different way. We are professionals. We carry ourselves as such. Yet because we think we are measured by data and scores, others outside our realm see us the same. But yet, what if we began to see our measure by what we gave in changing not just the minds of young Americans, but the hearts and souls as well? What if we made sure all of our students are above all seen, heard, and loved? The way the parents see us changes, which trickles up to the way our communities, our state, the nations will see us. We can't bitch about it. We have to embrace it, hit it head on, get out in front of it, and change our own narrative. But more importantly than that, what about the way we see each other? Not only have our students gone through hell, we have multiple times, and sometimes daily. Educators have been through the fire, maybe more than we care to admit or recognize. And then you add on all the things personally behind the scenes we deal with, and it's not hard to fathom why many are leaving the profession. You know, the best PD, the PD we really need, is most often the teachers in the same hallway. We really need to see, hear, value, and love one another. Lean on one another, because when we are better together, then our schools get better. If we just stop the stress over plans, time, content, curriculum, and all the extra stuff on our plate and focused in on making sure every member of our faculty was connected, then being able to do a difficult job will become a little less impossible. To be able to really see kids, to show our real value as the ones who can unlock a kid's unlimited potential, we need to see ourselves first and one another. Changing our perspective on how we see what is good and not all that is bad is a great first step. It takes intentional practice. Educators are the unsung heroes in our country. Take a moment to flip the script on how you see things. Really begin to see how possible it is that all we do. See one another, love one another, really band together, arm in arm, uplifting and empowering all in our buildings, so that the life change we are capable of is so palpable that every one of our fierce critics must stand up and take notice. We need a change of perspective. Continuing to do the same way, expecting different results, is insanity. And that was drilled into me in my early recovery from my addiction to alcohol. I had to change the way I saw myself and everything about my life. I had to choose to see the good, everything that was right, if I wanted to live. Learning to limit and do away with all I saw that was bad, everything that was wrong, was what opened my eyes to a life of purpose and possibility that alcohol had just tried to drown. My change of perspective was what made me see that my life isn't about me, but all about how I could impact others. That's my purpose. We've had a lot thrown at us in the last 2 years. Maybe we need educator rehab, but I know one thing. We need to change our perspective on how we see students, how we see each other, and how we are measured. Because it's not the data, the scores, the curriculum that matters the most. It's how we give away that gift in us all to love others, to dream big, and to know that anything is possible if they just believe it to be. How you see it, how you see you, is how it will be. Think on that and change that perspective. We appreciate you listening to our podcast. Let's connect and impact lives together. Leave me a comment on this episode or find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube at The Secret Sauce with Kip Schubert. We would be honored if you would share this episode on your social media. Continue to share your story. It matters. Reach back over that mountain. Every educator, every student needs to feel loved, heard, and valued. So dish out that secret sauce and be that Sherpa to guide others to the summit. Until next time, let's stay all in and all together.